When I was a kid, I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. Looking back on it now, it is not great science fiction. Ron Moore, one of the writers, said that sometimes when they needed to resolve a plot thread, they would just write the word tech in the script, T-E-C-H. Captain, the tech is over-teching, but there is a theory that if you tech the other tech, you can... And then they would have their consultants change the word tech to something that used roughly the right science words, and the day would be saved. And as they watched it, every scientist who worked in whichever field those words were borrowed from put their head in their hands. But everyone else never noticed. The words were nonsense, but they sounded important. And in nearly every bit of television fiction that's ever had to talk about computers, it works the same way. As long as the words sound vaguely plausible, as long as the hero can type fast enough on the keyboard, or in one really terrible moment on NCIS, two heroes can both type fast enough on the same keyboard, the computers will work. If you understand computers, you'll put your head in your hands watching that, but anyone who doesn't never notices and doesn't care. Now, I've had to be the translator before between people who understand computers and people who don't. I've had jobs on both sides of that problem, and something that sounds reasonable to one side can appear to the other as that sort of technobabble or nonsense marketing jargon. Something that is easy to describe may be impossible or just very expensive to build, while something that requires pages and pages of description in English might just be a few minutes' work at a keyboard. And for people who don't understand coding, developers might as well just be flashing text on a screen and randomly hitting the keyboard like they're in a hacker movie. This is true between different tech disciplines too. I can code in some languages. I can sort of manage a design, but there are loads of areas of app development that I don't know a damn thing about. Which is why there's a writing and consulting team working on this series and why we are interviewing a lot of people who do know what they're talking about. Working with someone who has different skills is a bit like speaking another language. If your translation doesn't work, you're not going to be able to communicate. But worse, if you think your translation is good but it isn't, you're going to have problems that won't appear until way too late. Shaka, when the walls fell. So, how do you plan together, talk together, and work together with someone who fills in the gaps in your knowledge? And more importantly, how do you collaborate without screwing things up? If you're watching this as a coder, though, I first want to say I sympathise. I know the headaches that come from working with non-coders, the endless, can you just questions that imply that a task is easy when it's really not. For you folks, I hope this gives you someone else's perspective. I hope it helps ease your pain a little, and I hope it gives you a decent framework for working with non-coders in the future. Here is what I've learned from everyone that I've talked to. Phase 1 is planning. Hire a coder that you trust. Trust is everything. They're going to be doing a lot that is outside your skill set. You may also need to trust them to bring on new people when needed. The best way is to find someone through recommendations and networking. As ever, it's about who you know, and that goes for the coders who are being hired as well. Before you start the actual code, agree on the terms. Talk through the language, any jargon that you're using, and even agree on the words you're using for the features in your app. Are the people using your app users or players or followers or basically, what name are you given to everything? Write it down, make it visible, and stay consistent. Share as much detail as you have. No developer wants to hear big, vague ideas about promises and visions. If you've made a prototype, share it. If you've got rough drawings and wireframes, share them, collaborate, ask for their thoughts, get specific. It's important to set goals and milestones. How is the work going to get done? What are the important dates for the project? What are your shared goals? And what feels unreasonable? It's easy to underestimate how much time development takes. Again, make this a conversation, not an order from on high. Identify potential risks and create space for the folks writing the code to voice their concerns. What's most important? What's urgent? What's risky? I can't teach you project management, but I can warn you to plan for, inevitably, things running late.
It's great if you're very decisive. If as much as you can tell me that's what you want, and good decision making is key, because essentially I'm just going to build what you want, and at the end, if you don't like it, I'm going to have to go and make changes. So as much as up front you can tell me exactly what you want, then it's just smoother and easier for us all. But at the same time, a bit of flexibility is good too, because things always come up that we don't anticipate, and so as much as you can be kind of decisive but flexible.
So is it helpful to have flowcharts? Is it helpful to have written out what every screen should do? Or is it better to get images? Do different people work different ways? I have no idea what I should send you.
A little brief of your vision is good to know what we're working towards. And for mobile, it's very much kind of screens, right? We're building screens. And so a designer will make some wireframes, and there's many prototyping tools before even a technical prototype happens, where you can put those wireframes into, looks like it's an app essentially, and you can plot out the flows. And that's really the most useful way. You say, okay, this button takes you to this screen. This pulls in this information, and then it can develop from there.
Your next phase is during. Between you and the code you're working with, there is probably already a preferred to-do list system and project tracking system that one of you works with and that you can settle on. If not, find one and use it, because this is not a job that can be held together with emails and instant messages. Things can get pretty stressful. If you don't know what to cut or how to prioritize, ask a simple question. Will this improve the user experience? If the answer is a strong yes, move it to the top of your list. Be okay with changing your mind, or as it's known in the industry, pivoting. Things come up, priorities change, that's normal, and you need to be a bit flexible. Maybe one piece of functionality suddenly becomes more important during your testing. That's fine, as long as you accept that in making that change, you are saying goodbye to what would have been. Also, remember that you can say no. You can't do it all. Both you and the coder should be comfortable with being able to say no. Are there particularly good ways or tools to communicate between coders and non-coders, or coders and the folks hiring them?
Feedback cycles are key, really. When you're dealing with someone non-technical who wants something built and you are the technical person building it, the more often you can give them a visual look at what the progress is, then the earlier they can interject with, oh, I didn't expect that to be that color, or things like that, and then you can change it earlier on before you've built this big thing, and then you go and find something's fundamentally not on the same page with the product owner.
Is there stuff that's more difficult to change and stuff that's easier to change?
Well, so you build it in a way that makes things like that easier to change. So colors, instead of hard coding a color everywhere, you put it in one big colors file, and then you refer to that everywhere. And so then if that one key color is different, you just have to change it in that one place. So there's ways like that. So colors and text are quite easy to change.
But the flow of the app and how it all works together and stuff that's going on in the background, not so much?
Well, obviously it depends what the change is, but some things will definitely be more ingrained than others.
What are the red flags for working with someone who's not technical? What are the sort of things I could arrive with and you just want to go, no, I'm not working with you on that?
Well, I think trust is a key thing. If someone's not technical but they want to be deeply involved in every aspect of it, then that might become more hindering than helpful.
Finally, there's delivery. Ensure that all the tasks are done. That to-do list system you set up, if it's worked properly, then you should already know about that. You should already have this sorted, but bear in mind that done can mean any number of things, from it was technically working, but it might fall apart, to this has been thoroughly stress tested and it's solid. Make sure everyone knows what done means. Spend some time reviewing everything. Bugs slip into even the largest companies' apps, and to err as humans, so make sure you've scheduled time for testing and thorough checking. Don't make the mistake of thinking that as soon as a feature's been built for the first time, you can tick it off the list and everything's going to be okay. And when it is all done, when you're happy, take the time to debrief as a team. What went well and what didn't? What were your goals? Did new things come up that you didn't anticipate? And most importantly, how can you work better together in the future? So what have we learned? First of all, building trust in your team is at the core of everything. You might be leading them, but you can't do all the work. Leadership is about delegation, and delegation is about trust. Let your team know you trust them to take ownership of tasks, and give them space to get on with it. Second, be ready for the plans to change. Unexpected things do come up. Be ready for them and have some flexibility. And finally, define what finished means for your app. There will always be more features or improvements you can make, but you have to put it out into the world sometime to know if it's any good. Know what you want in your first finished version and make sure the team is focused on that. You'll have time to update it with whatever new stuff you want later. Next time, how to make your app work for everyone.